Hello and happy Tuesday. This is Lessons and Legacies, and we are rocking and rolling with episode 6 today. I can't even believe it. I did 5 days last week, and then I actually live streamed with a couple friends on their shows on Saturday and Sunday. So this is like my 9th day in a row, actually, of doing live stream, and I'm super happy to be here yet again. Opening up a little bit differently today. My name is Melissa Price. I'm the host of Lessons and Legacies. Usually I come on and do this introduction solo, but I found some interesting stuff out today right before we came on the show, and I wanted to bring my guest on to open with me. So this is my good friend and sister, Dawn Petalino. Thank you so much for joining me. Take a minute and tell everybody who you are, what you do, and then I'll share with you the little golden nuggets that I found out.
Now you got me curious, got my attention piqued. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. And I just love seeing it. You know, given our history, I think this is just really exciting that you've kind of created this. And my name is Dawn Petalino, and I'm a spiritual transformational coach for women going through transitions. And those transitions could be something on the outside that seems to be changing, falling apart, or more often there's something on the inside where you know that you have to change, but you're just kind of stuck in how to change and how to move forward. And so I help women kind of discover that and help them move forward and progress in their consciousness and in their evolution and get past old blocks.
And so you're a transformational coach is what?
Yeah. And the definition I have of transformation is, and I have this on my website too, is having access to a reality that you didn't have before.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Cool? And you've definitely brought me to that. You've brought me to that through our history of being together as well. And not only are you a transformational coach, but you are a published author of multiple books, correct?
This is correct, yes.
And we are going to be sharing from both the books and talking about the books as we go on here. And Dawn has some amazing things she's going to bring to the table and share with you guys as well. There's quantum physics involved. There's energy and healing involved. And I will give you guys a little bit of our background as and how we came to be as we go on. But before we do, I wanted to share with you. So I don't know why the number 6 was hitting me today. And again, I've been like in a little bit of a funk. I've had weird stuff going on, family issues, all this stuff. And it's cold. It's been cold today and I don't like the cold. So like I have these external forces that are kind of working against me, so to speak. So again, resilience is a great topic today. I feel like I've been exercising it. But the number 6 for some reason was just hitting on me. I was like, I have to look that up again and see what does 6 symbolize. So I thought this was pretty fitting, being that it is the 6th episode. I have to share this. Let me put my glasses on because in my older age here, I am going blind.
I hear you.
So, all right, first fact, 6 is the first perfect number, which is a mathematical term, meaning that 6 is both the sum and product of its factors. So 1 + 2 + 3 = 6. 1 × 2 × 3 = 6. Also, I didn't clip all of this to read to you, but they also said that 6 most perfectly presents itself in nature and most often presents itself. That's how nature presents itself, is around the number 6. Like they were saying, there's 6 petals on a tomato, on like pepper plants, tomato plants, flowers. They were going down the list of like how nature, 6 just like naturally shows up in nature, which, you know, I'm a nature freak. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know. It says that. So back to the perfect number thing, which I'm not a math person, but I did think that was cool.
Yeah.
It says perfect numbers are known for being both harmonious and stable, which are the main characteristics of the number 6. The number 6 is also associated with responsibility and particularly with domestic affairs, which was interesting because I have been dealing with that kind of stuff. And resilience, what we're talking about today is being resilient is to try to get to that harmonious and stable. And then here, this is interesting because you and I both do cards, right? We do tarot, we do our affirmation cards, we do our spirit cards. It says the number 6 in the major arcana of the tarot. The 6th card is the Lovers, which is the card that is most associated with choices. Also coming back to resilience. I have to make choices when it comes to resilience. It says often this decision is one that pits the head against the heart or love against more practical concerns. The number 6 is the number most associated with love, family, and home life. And the 6th sign of the zodiac is Virgo, which is Venus. And the planet associated with this number is Venus, named for the Roman goddess of love. Okay, here, one more thing. It says, though Venus is the astronomical body that is associated with the number 6, the tarot card of the Lovers is also associated with Gemini, which makes 6 aligned with the air and earth in terms of elements.
Oh, curious.
Which Virgo is an earth sign. I know you're a fire. You're an Aries, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And it says those who are aligned with a great deal of 6 energy in their numerological charts are kind, loving, compassionate, nurturing, and have a strange and compelling magnetism about them. Generally considered to be homebodies, excel in gardening, which is me totally, and other occupations that require nurturing and patience, and they also love the close-knit relations with friends and family members around the dinner table sitting by the fire. So that 6 energy, I feel, is like totally all over this episode today. What do you think about that?
I think it's really curious. A lot of times people think of 6 and they get afraid, I want 6, 666 and all that stuff.
Because like the beast, they say the 666.
Right. And then to find out it's not that at all, that it's actually this perfection. And it's interesting, the idea that it's found in nature. I think always looking to nature, it reminds me, just touching a little bit on the quantum physics, is that they can measure this electromagnetic field around every living thing. And it's this electromagnetic field that, that speaks to the cells in the acorn that tell it to become an oak tree. Like, this energy in nature is harmonious. It is self-correcting. It is self-organizing. It won't destroy itself. And so that's just kind of interesting that that's the number that's found in nature, is this perfection.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good.
I appreciate that for sure.
That is really, really good. Yes.
And I like too that it brought up relationships in there, and that that 6 energy has to do with the relationships. And I want to take a minute and tell everybody about how we met. It was kind of funny. Adriana, our mutual friend, came over last night to shop with Teas, Totes, and Notes.company.site. And we were kind of revisiting how the 3 of us all ended up being in the same circle. And I remember that we're going on what, like almost 5 years now, I think, because I met you.
Yes, actually, yeah, it was. Yeah.
So I worked at this coffee shop, and Dawn had been coming into the coffee shop. She was working on this book, Peace, Power, and Miracles. She was working on this book, and she had come in several times. And, I was the barista / bartender there. She was always drinking coffee and tea, not so much on the bartender side of things, but not while writing anyways, late night perhaps. But we had she lived in an apartment complex not far from where I was doing the barista stuff. And I had a Super Bowl party that I was coming up.
Right.
And one of my neighbors from this same apartment complex where she lived was like coming to the party, and she's like, hey, can I bring my friend Dawn? And at this point, my kids were like younger. This was 5 years ago. So Charlotte would have been like 3 or 4. Sophie was 1.
Yes, tiny.
And I'm like, I don't know. If I don't know this person, they can't come into my house.
Who's this strange lady?
I don't want any whack jobs coming in while I got babies, you know, this is like for close friends only, da 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 da. She's like, oh no, she's a teacher. She's great, this and that. You'd love her. You'd get along great. Lo and behold, who shows up to my Super Bowl party was this one right here. After I'm like, oh my God, I've met you like a bunch of times. What? You know? And so it was kind of cool. We kicked it off from there. We became great friends and we clicked right away. And then not long after that, Dawn, you started doing the group meditations out of your house. We've done networking events. We did the world of crystals together. We did, you allowed me to use your space for a crystal workshop, which was
which was phenomenal. Yeah.
And man, in our time, you've gotten married.
That was,
I mean, we've gone through a lot of stuff together, and I have to say, I am so grateful to have you in my life. You've been nothing shy of a sister to me. Again,
oh, well, right back at you, Miss Mel.
I can call a friend, but I have to call family.
I would totally agree. It's interesting because it reminds me of like the Course in Miracles that says, you know, every relationship is a divine assignment. So like when I moved into that complex, I had no idea that, you know, I would be meeting this community of people and so forth. And actually, you know, I'm going to ask you if I can read the foreword that I wrote in your book, because I think it's relevant to what we're talking about.
Yes, absolutely. I would love that. I would love that. And I've never heard it read before. So this will be great.
Allow me.
I might get emotional. You know how I am.
Well, you know, I might get emotional, but well, it's interesting because, you know, so much of, you know, when we talk about resilience, there are two things that we have to kind of be aware of in order to connect to the higher source, the higher energy, whether you call that the quantum field, love, God, the universe, you know, Fred, whatever you call it. In order to connect to it, we have to have an open heart and we have to be present. Now, a lot of times, you know, we're always going to be growing. You know, when you're done growing, you're probably dead. So
yeah. I think that's how it works out. I think that's
I think you know, it's
growing. You're dead.
You're dead. You're done. You're done. So, you know, we're always growing. So the universe, in its kindly, compassionate, loving way, is saying, there is more for you. Mm-hmm. And I have to show you the places that your heart is still guarded, the places you still have armor that you're not letting love in. Because, you know, we can only receive as much as we're willing to receive. And many people, and a lot of the, you know, women I work with, you know, grew up in trauma of some sort. And those who've been, yeah, exactly. So myself included. So it's, you know, addictions, sexual abuse, you know, codependent, you know, just dysfunctional families, which, you know, who doesn't have one? But
so maybe growing up in like the world of abandonment, where you've grown up in.
Yeah, that's the neglect. It's which, you know, a lot of times when there is addiction in the family, that's just going to be par for the course. But
homelessness. I mean, there's all kinds of umbrellas, I think, that this can all fall under.
And everything that we experience, you know, when we're younger, it's the places where we end up creating a belief about it, and usually against ourselves, you know, like I'm not good enough, those types of beliefs. Mm-hmm. And these are the places we end up closing our heart. And, you know, we don't even realize that we do it, because what it is, it's a way of protecting ourselves, and wisely so. We needed it. We needed it. When we were younger, it served us. But as we get older, we can only receive. The more our heart is open, that's what we can receive. It's like if somebody wants to give you a hug, you know, but initially hugs make you like really uncomfortable, or they bring up pain. A lot of times people, you know, when they're opening their heart, love is equated with pain, because that was what they grew up with. But as they gradually can get comfortable with it, it begins to feel good. But it has to be gradual, because it has to be what their system can allow. And so, and the reason I say all this is when I'm going to read this forward, there are parts of myself that I did not realize were still closed off, and that's the unconscious part. But that's the beauty of it, is the universe brings in exactly what you need to
When
be
you need it.
in your heart, when you need it. Right. Exactly. And it's pace is wise. It's not going to throw out something that you're not ready for,
Right.
So as we grow and as we open, we become more available to these other things, and the universe provides it for us so we can grow in our awareness. And then what you said is, then once we have an awareness, now we have choice. Without the awareness, you have no choice. It's automatic. So I'm going to read this forward for you. You can see
let's do
I grew with my experience of being part of this community that I moved into, and then going over to Mel's for this, what was it, football party.
Yeah, it was Super Bowl. I know, sports ball. We didn't really like football.
Yeah, we didn't really watch it. It was a Super Bowl party, but
yeah, we stuck by the bonfire. We didn't care.
We just chatted it up. All right, so this is what it says.
And before you go here, if anybody wants to know, we are reading from the brand new book, Lessons We've Learned, Legacies of Life. This is written by myself, Melissa Price, and my mother. Where's she at? Renee Bodell. She's in Detroit, Michigan. And Dawn, my good friend here, she's about to read her foreword for the book. So
yes, and I was very honored to write this for your book. So
if you'd like to get a copy, there is, my website is right below there. It's on Amazon, but I prefer you check out my store, lessonsandlegacies.company.site, because there's so much more there. So
yeah, you've got a lot going on in your store. You've got
it's always evolving.
But there's so much. I mean, as far as even Christmas shopping, there's all these just cards and arts and books and just a ton of stuff there to even look at. Including,
and your books are in there too.
And my book's in there too. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
All right. It seems we can't turn on the television, open the paper, or peruse the internet these days without being exposed to outrageous injustices. Topics we wouldn't have traversed 10 years ago are now reported every day. We've entered an era of enough is enough. In many ways, this is a major leap for a population grown out of conformity and tight-lipped shame from past generations. However, as voices are finally freed to scream out of wrongdoings previously hidden, there's a real danger of a cancerous hate growing among the human race as people choose between us versus them. And yet, in the same breath, we advocate world peace, environmental harmony, and collaborative teamwork among the people of this world. But the sad truth is we will never experience the community this world craves without remembering, as different as we are, our hearts beat the same elemental needs for safety, love, connection, and acceptance. Passion without compassion is a dangerous tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy for me personally to want to be right, to blame another for their wrongs, just ask my husband, to judge and guard myself. Somehow it always feels safer to look good on the outside, but never let them see you sweat. The only problem with that is we never feel real, and you can't have connection without humble honesty. The more challenging path doesn't armor up, but lays down our weapons to see others as they are doing the best they can, living with the same fears and needs that we do. This is not an easy path, but it is the only path that will create a world where collaboration and cooperation become the norm and not the exception. It's the path that asks us to go to our heart and not our hurt. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, we don't travel this path alone. There are angels among us, and I've been blessed to know one in my own backyard. I have never seen someone so willing to offer a hand or an ear to the hurting, so willing to give everyone a chance, so willing to go out of her way to acknowledge another's presence as one that matters. I thought her acts very kind until she began blessing me with these same gifts, and then I became undone. I wasn't one to open to people easily or allow myself to become vulnerable. I was a strong one. But Melissa Price showed me that love and connection is what makes us strong. Her love healed places in me I didn't even know needed healed. Community matters, connection matters, and what Melissa has birthed with this book matters. She's taken stories, poems, pictures, and quotes from people of all ages and walks of life for one single purpose: to show us how truly alike we are. In the way she always has, Melissa has gone straight to the heart. If, like me, you have ever found it difficult to let down your guard, felt lonely in a world full of people, or wondered if you were somehow different, then settle in, dear one, and read. What you will find is that you are not alone. You have companions all around you from every demographic, gender, and age. You are part of the largest club you can imagine, the human race. The journey back home starts here with this book. I dare you to read a story or two and not begin to feel those walls crumble as love washes in. Thank you, Melissa Price, for offering us a path back to the heart. Thank you.
You did it. I have to tell you, like, I don't know if you've had this experience with your book yet, but like, to have anybody read anything back to you, to hear it from somebody else's voice. And I know you wrote that. You wrote that for me, wrote that for this book. And oh, God, it touches me every time. And that was the best because I've never heard it read before.
Oh, that's great. I will record that for you so you have it. On those low days, you can read that. And I should record it so you have it so somebody can read it to you.
Yes, maybe you should. It could be like a meditation I can get into, you know?
Yeah, I'm thinking if you just hear it, you know, and I think you're right. There is some power, you know, and that's the receiving part. You know, the receiving is like where we can hear it and let it wash over us and take it in. And I think that I'm going to do that. I'm going to read it and send it to you.
So, we've had a journey with the books. I remember actually what was funny that was birthed out of us meeting while you were doing the book, and then the irony of it all.
Yeah.
You know? I remember you were going through, I actually got to be part in editing your book, which was great.
Thank you. I know. It was great. It was great.
And then I asked you to be part of mine. Why don't you tell everybody before I read anything from the resilience chapter about your books? And I also, while you're doing it, please make sure that you loop in your coaching and stuff. I actually have, I don't even know how many years. I mean, aside from the meditation, we did meditation that was group, that was, you know, fun for all of us, and we all were on our own journeys. But Dawn, you did a lot of one-on-one coaching sessions with me. I have many notebooks still. I would write notes. I would have to bring a box of tissues every time. Dawn has also done energy work on me several times as well. And I attest fully to her skill on all levels in everything that she does. So take a minute and tell everybody a little bit about your books and your coaching and your work, your healing work. And then we can, I'll read. I have to catch my sniffles here.
I started it.
And then I'll read something out of the book for the end of the resilience.
Oh, very good.
And we can talk. We can talk.
Yeah. Talk amongst ourselves, right? So these are the two books that I had written: Peace, Power, and Miracles, and Remembering. It's interesting because since I've written these, I have learned a lot more about quantum physics and about this, you know, what they call the universal field, which, like I said, you can call it God, you can call it love, you can call it the field, you can call it the universe. It is that energy that surrounds everything. And in order to merge our limited consciousness with this unlimited loving consciousness, then we need to learn to become present, and we need to learn to have an open heart. So this book, Peace, Power, Miracles, actually touches on the first, there's 3 awarenesses, and it's the awareness of thought. And I go through the awareness of thought as a way of calming our mind and helping ourselves learn to become present. Because what keeps us from being present is all the projection of the future or all the looking back of the past, like the regret, and usually not in a good way. It's usually like worry and fear, and it's usually like regret and shame.
Mhm.
So it's never really dealing with the present, which is the only place we can make that conscious contact is in the present. So the first one of the awareness of thought has to do with ways of pulling yourself out of those places and getting present. And then you have the awareness of the emotion. And this one helps us to begin to open our heart, because the heart, the language of the heart is actually emotion. It's not words, which is why if you have an affirmation, but those words don't resonate with you, then you're really just saying a script. It's not going to really do anything. It's got to open the heart. It's the heart. So what they found in quantum physics is,
You always said that crack of space.
the crack of space. You have to leave a crack of space. Exactly.
I still use that all the time, and I think of you every time. It's like all you need is a crack of space.
You just need
to enter the heart.
The Course in Miracles calls it a holy instant. And it's just, it says all it needs is the holy instant. Yep. And it's just like this one, you just need that one sliver where your heart begins to open and your mind, you have an open mind, you're willing to kind of step into that unknown, and your heart has that openness. And just a sliver, it doesn't have to be huge, because we still have all of these things that we're protecting ourselves with. But it just takes that crack of space. I love that. Yeah.
I'll never forget it.
You just got to leave the crack. But it's in that crack, which is why that forward, whenever, and it usually comes in unexpected ways where something like deeply affects us, and that opens, like that's the universe opening that crack of space. And that's what happened with us, is like you opened this crack of space that I didn't even realize I was guarding against. So, but a lot of times so in this book, with the awareness of emotion, it's helping us to learn about emotion, and to begin to let go of that armoring that we keep around our heart, which I have to say,
or the wall or the shell,
right? Anything that it keeps us kind of closed up. And one of the biggest things, there's so many emotions, especially if you grow up in any kind of trauma or dysfunction, there are certain emotions that we don't allow ourselves to feel. I know in my own family, it was like, anger, that was not good. No one was allowed to feel anger, So that was, as an adult, if I felt angry, I couldn't even really let myself feel it for very long before I'd immediately switch over to sadness. That was okay. It was okay to feel sad, but not anger.
Grief, sadness, yeah.
Yeah, you have to look at like what emotions that when they come up, what do I tell myself? And a lot of times it's, I shouldn't be feeling this way. But you have to remember that unless we accept and allow whatever is, then A, that keeps us present because that's what's going on at the moment. But B, it's that honesty that opens the heart. Compassion is a great, it's a very high frequency emotion, by the way, compassion. So compassion can open the heart. And so with the awareness of emotion, I go through steps to help you be able to be present with those emotions in a way that can heal them, that can allow them. Because emotion is just energy in motion. But when we judge it, we stop the motion. And that's usually when we get like that stuck feeling or heavy feeling. So then the last part is the awareness of the heart. And that's just whenever the heart and the mind are open. They call that heart-brain coherence when they reach a certain level. The heart talks to the brain. We always knew the brain could talk to the heart. The heart actually receives information from the energetic field and then begins to transmit it to the brain. The brain takes those signals and begins to send out different chemicals to the body and our own energy system within the body. So the awareness of the heart portion is just kind of some tools to help you begin to hear your own heart, to hear your intuition, just, kind of like, hey, thought this might be helpful if you knew this, And so these three awarenesses are meant to kind of connect that heart and mind together to be able to listen. This book was something that I actually began years ago, in my own journey when I left my marriage, I left my job, and I moved to Charlotte. And I did that in one. I did it all at the same time. And
one fell swoop. Do it all at once.
Exactly. I was just like, I had to like start with a clean slate. Start with a clean slate. And this book started back then because I'd given myself permission to take about a year off and just live off some savings. And I was doing that. And so I was spending a lot of time in, journaling, prayer, meditation, stuff that I'm sure your audience is well aware of, self-growth. Yeah. And so a lot of the truths that came out for me came out with this book. And I wrote some more the time I published it, I added some more because I'd grown more. But I've gotten probably, when I know that when people read this book, the feedback I've gotten is that when women read this book, they say, it tells me what I need to hear to feel safe again. It tells me what I need to hear to accept myself, to love myself. It gives me, and that's why I called it remembering. These are reminders because we forget, we get caught in our own shame, we get caught in our own self-criticism.
In the chaos of the world.
Yeah, and in the world, right. We have all these things. And the love has to start here. If I don't start it here, then I'm not going to find it out there. I'm going to look for it out there.
Right.
But I'm going to reject it. Why? Because I don't have it in here. And so this book is about self-love and self-acceptance, radical acceptance of yourself, approval of yourself. And so they're all just short little vignettes. And then at the end, it's just like a little just for today reminder. I mean, some of them are freeing your mind from worries, finding your own voice, breaking your own rules, letting go of fear and panic. So different subjects, I think, that I know I grappled with.
Yeah.
And so these kind of calm me down, and they, again, open the heart, which is key. It's really key.
I have to say, going back to the Peace, Power, and Miracles book, you did, and I still have it saved in my email, and I've used it so many. I don't really know how to do it other than just accessing it through my email yet, because I'm not. But you have your own email file folder. But I remember when we were doing the group meditations, you did a meditation one day, and it was the sitting with emotions one, and it broke me wide open. I think it was probably the first time I lost my shit at one of your meditations. I was weeping. I almost got up. I may have even left at that one. I'm not sure. I know I left at a couple of them because I had been overcome with stuff, but that sitting with emotions meditation was awesome. And I think it goes along great with your book, The Peace, Power, and Miracles. You coached me, and maybe you could give everybody like a little nugget of what you coached me on when you have those nasty emotions, like, for me specifically in all our coaching sessions, and I'm an open book, so I don't really care who sees this. But,
we all need help.
I have major abandonment issues. My father walked out of my life a couple years ago over the stupidest crap for the second time ever. And, like, I don't know if you know or not, my brother is moving to Maine in like a couple weeks or months or whatever. It's very sudden, very up and going. We were supposed to be visiting for Christmas. They were like, forget it. Blah. They're trying to go off the grid and separate from everybody in the world.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, that's my only sibling. And now you're going to Maine, which is like 15 freaking hours from here. And you're just like, whatever, my family matters. I'm like, well, I've been your sister for 36 years. Ugh. I got abandonment issues, So as I'm sitting with this, not only did daddy leave me, not only is my brother like, after all I've done, you know what I mean? All of our years together.
Right.
I'm like, I'm still revisiting this. we went through a lot of that in my coaching, and you gave me this great, not only that meditation, but the philosophy around how to sit and address and deal with those. You told me, like, talk to that little kid, that whatever age of the person is that's afflicted in you, talk about that. Give somebody here watching like a golden nugget that still saves me to this day.
Well, I think one thing that happens is when you grow up in any kind of trauma, as a safety mechanism, you can't allow yourself to feel certain feelings, because as a child, that would destroy you. Mm-hmm. So what we've learned to do instead is go to the head, and we think about it, we explain about it. But that's never going to heal the emotion, because remember, the emotion is energy in motion. Mm-hmm. And when it gets stuck in that past, it's getting stuck like a needle on a record player, and it just goes around and around and around. And we try to figure it out, but figuring it out isn't going to heal it. So what we have to learn to do, and it is a practice. I used to call
it is.
Yeah, I mean, I used to call it eating my vegetables.
Still going through it, even with all the coaching and the help and the tools. I'm like, there it is again. There's that abandonment issue. Okay, what did you learn? Okay, it's a practice.
It's a practice.
Go through the checklist and say, okay, step one, breathe.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, your first practice. So the first thing is you are going to slow down the breath. And the reason you slow down your breath is because that tells your body that you're safe. Mm. So whenever we used to take, and I always use the 4-count breath. So I would take 4 breaths in, I would hold it for 4, and then release it for 4. And I would do several rounds of that, because what you're doing there is you're telling your body that you're safe. And all you're doing is you're noticing the emotion. And I mean, spiritual material will talk about this. I love Pema Chodron, Buddhist monk, and she talks about this. In Course of Love, in Course of Miracles, they talk about this, but somehow it's still foreign to many of us. I mean, I had to learn how to do it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wish somebody would have told me this years ago, Right. But it's a practice, and it's not easy. And the reason it's not easy is because when we feel an emotion, what happens is it's almost it can be like a tidal wave where we become like, it's like it washes over us, and that's all we feel. And when that's all you,
it consumes you.
It consumes you. That's right. It consumes you. Yeah. And so that's all you feel. And when that's all you feel, it's like almost like you're just bathing in it, So what the practice is, and I give a how-to in this book on that awareness.
It's a great tool. It's a great tool. Yes, please let people know that too. There are meditations and tools and things that you can use at the end of the chapter.
Yeah, there's a section in there that tells you how to sit with the emotion. But very quickly, what you're really doing is you are being present with it. So I always got the hardest part of this, and this is why it's a practice, is to realize that every emotion is just energy in your body.
Energy and motion.
And that's right. And it's not bad. I think that, when like I talked about, if you have certain emotions that you were taught, you are not allowed to feel this, you are not allowed to be this. Mm-hmm. Then we take that on and we go, oh, no, I can't feel that. No, I can't feel that. Right. So what happens is, we block it. But if we can learn to sit with it, and what they have a felt experience of the emotion.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And they're powerful, man.
It really is a game changer.
It's a very big game changer. Almost like the mirror work, when you got to like sit and look at yourself in the face, but like to sit and feel. You always told me sit and feel it. What part of your body?
That's the best way to start, is to say, like, okay, let's just go with, now you're a big feeler, I'm a big feeler. And actually a lot of women that I work with, because you grew up in trauma, you might have cut yourself off from the feelings, but most of them are actually highly sensitive.
They're a feeler.
Yeah, they're a feeler. So what happens is, I always like close my eyes, and you can name it. Okay, where is it? Okay, I'm feeling it in my gut. Okay, what does it feel like? Describe it. It feels like a buzzing. It feels like, and metaphors are great. Use a metaphor. It feels, it feels like a wave washing over me. It feels like a lead ball, and then like the loving part is just asking yourself, okay, and just to tell this part, I'm giving you my complete attention. It's okay for you to be here. And even to notice like what age it feels like, and does it feel familiar? And,
Right.
and normally if we say, well, what age does it feel like? We might not know specifically the age, but we get a sense of whether it feels adolescent, whether it feels young, whether it feels really young, whether it feels like in our 20s. And these energies all live inside of us. So anywhere there was places where we were hurt and we blocked off, those are what become the triggers. And it's always the universe loving us by saying, I don't want you to live with your heart closed. Yeah. So this is an opportunity when you feel this to, what the Course of Love calls it, sitting with the emotion within the embrace. We become the one who says, I love you. Even if I don't always feel it, I will say to that part, I love you. It's okay for you to be here. It's okay for you to be here. What do you want me to know about this? And even if you don't know, even if you're not hearing anything, you can still just witness the emotion. And even if you just witness it, you'll feel it like, okay, it was in my gut. It felt like sadness. Now it seems to be shifting to my right side. And gosh, I feel my whole right side like tense up, like, and you're just watching it. And if you can stay with it, because it can get uncomfortable. Now, I remember like this one time where it was after a breakup with somebody, and I would feel this anxiety. And I always knew like anxiety was a precursor for me that an emotion would be coming up soon. I couldn't touch it. When I was feeling the anxiety, I kind of had to wait for the emotion itself, because at first it was just the anxiety. But you sitting with the emotion, I remember sitting with the anxiety. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to sit with this. I know this works, even though there's a part of me that's scared to do this. I'm going to sit with this. And I sat with it, and it felt like the anxiety, and I described it, and then I could feel it move, and it felt like this deep sadness. And then so I just began sobbing. And then it felt like this, like almost like, like someone's like an ice pick in your heart, just like, I was like, oh my gosh, this hurts. And at this point, you really want to get up and just like go watch Netflix. You're just right. Like, screw this. I'm not
ice cream and the Netflix. You need both.
You're right, exactly. So, but I was like, you know what? If I could stay with this and just ride this wave, because usually there'll be a crest and then it'll recede. And I was like, if I could just stay with this and ride this wave, it will recede. And that's the thing I promise you, is that if you sit with it, it will pass. It will pass. And so I sat with it, and then it's like it reached this level, and then, I'm kind of crying, but I realized as I was crying, and this is the witnessing part, you in your adult place are witnessing this past hurt. And just like an adult with a child, you're saying, it's okay, I'm right here. And so I'm witnessing this, and then it kind of opened up, and I saw this in my mind's eye. I saw this locket, like a heart locket, and it opened, and then I felt all this love pour through me. It was like whatever that, and I realized that it actually had to, here it was about my boyfriend leaving me, talk about abandonment. And it was really tied to, when I was younger, and I could feel that. So with that, I ended up, it just went through the whole cycle, but the heart would reopen naturally as long as you allow that energy in motion. The tricky part is, sometimes you're at work and you really can't do it right then.
Right.
Sometimes
you're homeschooling the kids, and what's on the toilet and out of toilet paper, and the husband's here, and life is in session. Some days life gets in session, right?
There were many times where I would be like working, and I would be like, okay, I'm feeling this, and it's just going to have to wait till tonight. I'm going to sit in that chair with this, and make it nice for yourself. Make it feel safe, because that's the whole thing. It's this part that didn't feel safe. And I do want to say sometimes it's not, sometimes the emotion won't reveal itself at that moment. So you can sit with it. I've done that where I'm sitting with it. I'm like, I'm not getting anything. It's just
Yeah.
there. Well, don't worry about it. When it's ready, it will come up. But the willingness to just be with it, so much of all of this is just the willingness. And that's, just having the compassion for ourselves and compassion for the emotion and just allowance of what is, that can begin to open the heart. But it is a practice, but you get better at it where you can actually be, sometimes I can be driving and I'll be like, my right shoulder feels really stiff right now. I wonder what's going on there. Just like I'm noticing this energy, so you just get better at listening to your body.
And I have to say, for anybody that heard that, because this was a golden nugget for me, when Dawn taught me to address that inner you that is screaming out for something, whether you're angry or you're crying and you're sad or you're grieving or whatever your icky emotion may be, to address that. My inner child, when I deal with the abandonment, I have an older one, like a current me.
Yeah.
And then up until 2 years ago, there was a bitty me,
Yeah.
And so she said, go and find that age and get an idea. Of course, I knew what age bracket I was in. And I was like, I thought she was nuts. Go home and talk to yourself, she says. Go home and talk to that little spirit inside of you and tell him, I know you're angry. I know you feel like everybody walked out on you, but it's okay because big me is here.
Right.
And I thought that I was like, I still have it written down. I have every coaching journal, meditation and counseling, all the stuff we've ever done together. I have multiple books and I still go back through and read it. And I remember the first day that I did it, and I probably wept as hard as the first time that during one of your meditations or your healing work. But no, I did. I sat there and I was starting to boil up and feel angry because, like a holiday, there's triggers with any negative feeling you get.
That's why they're there. They want to get, they're like a little, I always feel like it's like your emotions tugging at your sleeve saying, feel me. Feel me.
Or a fly buzzing and pecking in your eyes or whatever.
Well, that's
I went home and there was a trigger moment that happened. And again, had to do with my dad, but that was the first time that I implemented it. And I literally verbally out loud, I closed the bedroom door, came in here by myself, and I said, all right, little you, I feel that you're hurting, and I know you're hurting, and I know you're angry because you're trying to protect big me, but I don't need you to protect big me. I'm here to protect you, and you're not alone. I'm always here for you. I swear to God, and I'm getting goosebumps as I'm talking about it right now. There was a spiritual shift when that happened, when I did that. There was a shift in my energy. There was a shift in my power. There was a shift in my being when I acknowledged and sat with and acknowledged that little part of me. Because, I don't know how much y'all get into, but like when we go through traumas and stuff, a lot, like it's very natural for the human mind to block that stuff out. Get rid of it. It does. Out into the universe. And so they have soul retrieval and stuff that you're supposed to do. And like the shamanic practices and stuff, you have soul fragments, you have pieces of your spirit, yourself that go floating out into the universe every time you're shattered. Every time you're busted into a million pieces, you have to put them back together. And sometimes those fragments go, if they're hurt real bad, sometimes we let go of it because it's too painful. And then you have to go and retrieve it. And I think, like, without having to do the shamanic journeying or anything like that, Dawn, what you have brought in with your book, Peace, Power, and Miracles, what you've done with your coaching, your transformational coaching with me, what you've done with the meditation has given all of us a very practical tool to just sit with what you're feeling, identify where it's coming from, and say, hey, I got you. Or call somebody that can say, hey, I got you.
That's another thing. Yeah.
An ability to care and tend for this so that we can heal and become whole again. instead of fragmented everywhere. So I really, really appreciate that tool. I've used it for years, and it's important to me that everybody gets that and receives that. I know no matter how funky it sounds to go.
It's very strange because it feels like it feels, yeah, it feels something like, well, I don't know what you're talking about, but when people, I know when I work with somebody and they experience it, because we are used to talking about our emotion, but not actually like really having like I said, a felt experience of,
Sitting with it.
this is what this feels like in my body, and then loving it. It's kind of like giving that old part, that young part, what it needed back then and it didn't have. But that is, like you said, that's the reintegration, because what we've done is we've invited love in, we've invited compassion in. And, I think
through the crack.
That's a crack. A Course of Love says that. A Course of Love says just a nod of love and a glance of compassion. And it'll like, that is what sitting with the embrace is. It's like the emotion, then your body is intelligent. It can heal itself, but it needs that witness. It needs love. Everything needs love. And so we can give it love. And that's why it's a practice, because it's a little bit foreign. It takes a little while. I always feel like it's
not how we were taught. That's not how we grew up. The generations before us, I feel like all of all of this is new. I know meditation has been around for a long time, and a lot of these tools have been around for a long time, but Facebook hasn't. And the internet and the ability to communicate all these tools hasn't. So, I mean, they're even teaching kids meditation and stuff in school. And
isn't that? Can you imagine if we had that?
COVID, but they are doing it. And I'm like, golly, if I had the knowledge that I gained from you, from Precious, from Lisa and Brian, from William Brown, if I had these tools at my kids' age, it's a whole new generation that's about to be ruling the world here. And it's because of what we're leaving them here. I'm grateful that you've brought this to the table, because it's shifted my world. And you've been over actually another thing we've done together. Do you remember? It was a few years ago, and it actually just popped up on my memory feed last week. Do you remember when you and Noelle came over and we did the first meditation circle with the kids?
Oh, that's right. We were sitting.
I have pictures. I gotta send it to you. It popped up on my Facebook feed probably like 4 days ago, with the little girls and then the three of us sitting around in a circle on the couch pillows, and we did the first little meditation thing with them. It was awesome.
I think it's just and the meditation is powerful, because what meditation teaches us is it helps us to be more of a witness. Helps us to slow down our thinking. Well, meditation does a couple of things, but first of all, it slows down your thinking. And so whenever you're feeling your emotions, a lot of times it's the thoughts. You have to stay. That's why it's easier to stay with the physical sensation and describe it, because your mind will jump in there and say, this is ridiculous. Your mind will sit there and say, well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And we all have to sit there and go, that's okay. And you just pat your brain on the head and go, thank you very much. They can just like, yes, thank you for your help. Just have a seat, and then we just sit and we allow the emotion to tell us. So we allow it expression. But when you meditate, what that's teaching you is to kind of slow down that thinking, which makes this process of feeling easier. The other thing that meditation does is when you do slow down your thoughts, those lower energy centers or chakras in your body start to come into balance. And when they start to come into balance, that energy begins moving up to the heart. When it moves up to the heart acts like an amplifier. So that's when the heart energy expands, and it connects, it like extends like 5 to 8 feet beyond your body. It begins to expand beyond your body, connect with the field around you. But it also,
and you can shift everybody else, right?
Yeah.
That was something I had written down for you to talk about too. It was like, you did that in that one networking thing we went to, where you did the workshop. You talked about how your heart and your energy can actually affect and amplify, or can actually favor other people's energy in the room.
That's it, because the love that you begin to feel expands your energy. And that when it reaches to the heart and the heart amplifies, that's when it sends energy up to the other upper chakras or energy centers to the brain. but it also expands outward. And when it expands outward, you walk into a room and your energy, your field is like I said, 5 to 8 feet. And the only reason they stopped at 8 feet is because that's as far as their instruments were measure, but they feel like it might be several miles. But you walk into a room and your body begins to entrain somebody else's body, which is, we've seen this happen where you go into the room.
Felt that happen. I've felt that happen many times. Can you even attribute that to like getting when you get a bad vibe around somebody?
Oh, that's totally. But when somebody's energy is in alignment and they're coherent, so their heart and mind are open, their energy is combined with the field's energy. So now it's not just your own limited consciousness, it's connected to the unlimited consciousness. Now that energy is like a Mother Teresa energy. And like she's going to walk into the room. People say you looked into her eyes and you felt completely loved, because that's the kind of energy she carried, and that's but that comes with feeling those emotions, because the more we can open our heart, the more contact we have with the universe, the energetic field, God, love, whatever you want to call it. And it's required, but anytime we shut down, our energy actually diminishes. So that's why when I think of resilience, I think of a couple things. I think of, how can I love myself here? That's like any situation is like, if something happens and something gets thrown in my face, a scare of some sort. First job number 1, calm down the nervous system. That's your only job right then. And that's where the breathing comes in, because you breathe and you slow down your breath and it helps your body to feel safe. And so when you slow down and you said, like I do that 4 count in, hold it for 4, release for 4, but you do a couple rounds of that. When you calm your nervous system, all right, so now you're able to think again. Because when first thing that happens, we get overwhelmed, it's almost like we get stuck and we can't think. We get caught in our emotional brain. We get caught in all the triggers. But you calm down the nervous system, you begin to feel safe, and now you have access to the prefrontal cortex, so you can begin to have that rational thought again. You can begin to say, okay, and then there's some practical tools like the staying present is key in meditation, and like these practices we were talking about help to train us, just like the gym trains you in your muscles. Meditation trains you in coming back to the present. Your mind wanders, you come back. Your mind wanders, you come back. It's going to happen. So it just trains you. You're like, okay, wait, I know how to do this. So I remember, and we wrote about this in the book, the one time in my tutoring business, somebody had written checks. I looked at my bank statement on a Friday night and I found out that there was money missing because somebody had written bum checks.
Oh no.
Yeah. And I went into this panic because I was like, I didn't have a lot of cash and I had this tutoring business I'd started. And I was like, oh my gosh. But because I had been meditating, I could take a deep breath. I did job 1, take a deep breath, breath, calm down the nervous system, down the nervous system. Right. Number 1. And then I could ask, my question after that is, so then I try to suspend my thinking and say, show me the truth here. What is the truth? And then I have to wait, because what I'm doing in that being present is I'm stopping all my projections. I'm as best I can. I mean, I was afraid. So I had stopped as best I could to leave a crack of space. And that's all you need is a crack to say, what is the truth here? What do I need to know about this? And in that moment that I was able to just that crack of space, I heard or I felt that, hey, lady.
Lisa Santiago, she showed up. Look at that.
I know. I'm loving it.
I wouldn't have met Lisa if it wasn't for you. And Peace Miracles.
Oh my gosh. There's another miracle.
I met Lisa, which led to William Brown and Precious Pauling and Red Lee and all these other people. So you were like
every relationship with divine assignment. But in that crack of space, I heard or felt that I was safe and that this money was, it was written out to Babies R Us and Toys. And it was around Christmas time. And I almost felt like I felt this great compassion that this family had used this money to buy gifts for their kids and that I was going to be okay. Now, the only way I could even contact, and that was contacting that universal field, that was contacting, because I didn't have that information, but the field had that information. God had that information. Love had that information. The universe had that information. But I had to calm my mind and leave a crack of space to be able to ask her, what is the truth here? And to take that breath. So first things first is calm yourself down. And then you just
by any means necessary, right?
Any means that gets feeling safe, just whatever that might be, calling somebody. Mm-hmm. That might be sometimes when we're feeling overwhelmed. It's, I used to wander in grocery stores way back because they helped me feel safe.
Yeah, go for a walk.
Go for a walk. Whatever. Yeah, you can never go wrong with a walk, And I always think kindness is key. So in those moments when we are going through something difficult, you want to remember, when I look back on this, what's going to matter is not what happened here. What's going to really stick with me is how I treated myself here.
Right.
And so did I treat myself with love and kindness as best I could? Compassion is a beautiful tool because usually, we can't really get to bliss, but we can get to compassion, Right. So it's like that things are hard sometimes. And then you go practical. You're like, okay, what can I do right now? First things first, what can I do right now? And that's what you follow. And it's stepping into that unknown and allowing and trusting the next moment to lead you. And what you're really trusting there is you're not trusting in some empty space. You're trusting in this grand, harmonious, loving, generous, abundant, unlimited energy. And that's what we are becoming more and more of as we surrender more and more to it. But the resilience comes from, on a practical level, calming our nervous system, calming our thoughts enough to leave that crack of space where we can connect to that. And, and love in any form is a great, well, it's a key. It's a key.
It is a key.
You have to love it. And that's the compassion piece. And that's why, Mel, whenever, one of my favorite pieces in here is under the resilience is the part that you said, I got to be honest. And it talks about your struggles with certain, it's a daily life kind of thing, like and struggling with it. Yeah. But it ends with this idea of like what's the greater good here? What am I really getting here? And the only way you can reach the other side of what the gift is whenever we do get honest. So one of my favorite prayers is, I did not want this. I did not want this. But if this is what you would have for me, then I accept it and show me what to do now.
Right.
So it's like, you got to get honest.
Do with this nugget here.
Yes, you got to get real. Honesty, compassion, these are things that open the heart. And you do it with yourself, or you call a friend and you find it, from them. When we can't give it to ourselves, that's when we call out and say, hey, I need to remember. I need you to help me to remember what's true. And that's,
You've always been that friend for me.
Well, I think we've been that friend for each other a lot of times.
Many.
Yeah. And that's the gift. And it is such a gift.
And everything you've brought to the table today, I think, has been phenomenal tools when we are in our resilient states. The peace, power, and miracles. Boy, oh boy, you need to learn how to calm down, sit with the emotions, get through it. On the internal level, this is the book for you. Okay. Peace, Power, and Miracles. Remembering, another great book. These are both fantastic tools of resilience. And I also, aside from the books, I highly, like I said, I recommend Dawn all day long as a coach on all levels. I've had her as a meditation guru. I've had her as a transformational coach. I've had her as a friend. I've had her do energy work with me. And we have worked on these books together and just been there as a friend. And that's, these are tools of resilience. I would like to leave with one poem before we go
Oh,
out. And
please,
then I'm gonna ask you a silly question before you go. All right. We'll be out of here in 3 minutes. I'm gonna read you a short poem from the resilience chapter that I feel like fits. It's called Beyond the Blue. And yeah, if you're feeling like maybe you're kind of separated from the mix and you're not really sure where you stand and life has gotten you all up in a bundle somehow, maybe this will give you a smile. So this is from Lessons We've Learned, Legacies of Life, and it's called Beyond the Blue, written by myself. A dainty violet springs forth from the dew, her vibrant color such a radiant hue, appearing so different among all the rest, in a field full of daisies, so sun-kissed and fresh. As children walk by to gather their prizes, bouquets full of yellow, such sunny surprises. In a world of her own, that violet stands true, alone and ignored, drooping and blue. Winter draws near and the sun fades away. She withers in fear of the next coldest day. When spring reappears with showers of rain, she cries secret tears for her upcoming pain. She's always unheard and often unseen. In a field full of yellow, she loses her dream. It's the hope to be picked by one gentle hand. For a glance or a smile, she resiliently stands. In the seasons of living beyond the blue, she searches for love from someone like you. So if something stands out among all the rest, embrace it and regard it as the very best. To all your own colors, be sure to stay true, while loving all others, no matter their hue. That poem to me is all about withstanding the elements, withstanding maybe you're different. Maybe you are different in not the best way that you see in your mind, but all of our differences are beautiful and meant perfectly for us. But I like that one. I wrote that when I was younger and happened to happen upon a field full of daisies with a couple little blue violets in there. I'm like, how did that happen? And I wonder how those flowers feel. And I feel like that sometimes, and this and that. And so I did a resilient poem around that moment. I don't know. I was a kid. I was walking.
Well, that reminds me actually of your book, because what I talked about was 2 keys: being present and having an open heart. And when we have an open heart and the heart begins to soften and expand, that's when it projects, that's when it amplifies and it touches the brain and we connect. We have new thoughts, we have new awarenesses, we feel differently. And this book, and just what you were talking about, even in that poem, to me, it was almost like this acceptance and this understanding of how we are all on the same page. We're all on the same playing field. It's like no one is above or below. We all got those same emotions. And that's what I wrote in this foreword, is like, if you read this book and you read just, sometimes I'll just open it up. If I'm feeling myself guarded, then one of my biggest prayers is, God, open my heart. Because I won't hear any wisdom until my heart is open. Just a crack, just needs a crack. And this can give you that crack. And so this is a really powerful book to begin to soften in the places that you are hard. And that is, like I said, that is the key to the connection, the key to your intuition, the key to connecting and making that conscious contact with that higher power, is that open heart. So I highly recommend Christmas gifts.
Yes. Not from us.
Great one. You're giving more than just a book. You're opening hearts.
Exactly.
Opening hearts.
And so for everybody that is here or catching the replay, if you guys want to get in touch with Dawn, for coaching, or you want to check out the books or anything at all, you can check it out on the bottom of the screen below, dawnpetalino.com. Also, both of her books, Remembering and Peace, Power, and Miracles, are available on lessonsandlegacies.company.site as well. And before we go, because this was such a beautiful, wonderful conversation, I can't let you go without messing it up. You know? All right. I still had a few of these would you rather cards. Let me ask you 3. Okay.
All
right. Would you rather receive $1,000 every time you slap someone in the face, or would you rather receive $1,000 every time you get slapped in the face?
Oh gosh, that is so interesting. When you first read that, I was like, I don't think I can imagine slapping somebody in the face. I don't think I could it just goes against all my fibers, to do that.
But if you're getting slapped and I can't tell you who's slapping you. What if it was
I know, that would be the other
thing. Would you rather get that $1,000 every time you slap me or I slap you? Because it's me and you.
I would say, forget $1,000. Let's just hold hands.
Let's hold hands. I'd take the slap.
I would definitely. I would have to go that route. I just don't think I could. I don't think I could do it.
Well, it also doesn't give a thing about like how hard you have to slap it either. So I'm like, I just slapped myself in the face. That didn't hurt. It was a slap. It was as long as you're not patting.
I hit myself. Is that what? Even that.
Oh. All right. Here's another one. Okay, wait. Let's see. Okay. Would you rather be able to burp the smell of lilac, or fart smooth jazz?
Oh, I would say belch.
Every time you fart, smooth jazz is going to sound out your butt. Or
I think I have to go with the belching part. I would have to go with the lilacs. Lilac is such a lovely smell. I'm going to go with the lilacs.
Is a belch is audible though, right?
It is, but then
it's not like a silent burp. It's a audible thing. So I personally, and it also doesn't say if your farts are gonna like not stink because you're doing the smooth jazz.
I think the belch is a little less offensive. So
I would take the smooth. I would take the smooth jazz farts with no smell, or I would take the silent belch with the lilac smell.
Yeah, can we add qualifiers to this?
All right. The last one I'm going to ask you. This one's kind of cute. Okay. Would you, and this ties in with resilience. We're going to end with something funny for resilience. Hi, Phyllis. I see you joining in. Thanks for joining in. Final question with resilience. Would you rather hang out exclusively, so only with people aged 8 or 88?
I taught third grade for years. I loved 8-year-olds. I taught third grade for like 12 years. So I think I would be better with the 8-year-olds. I think
I'm torn with that one. That was like our goldfish cockroach one yesterday. Did I tell you that one? Would you rather swallow a live goldfish or a dead cockroach? This got everybody all up in a bundle. I think I ultimately decided on the cockroach because I can't deal with the wiggly waggly of the fish, and it's fish. I hate fish.
Well, would you do the 8-year-old or the 88?
God, I'm so torn. That one was tough for me. I mean, kids at 8. I'm like, do I have to make all their lunches and stuff too? I mean, and then 88, do I have to change their diapers? I mean, like, I think I'd probably go with the 8-year-olds only because kids keep you young. They do. Keep you young.
Their innocence can be
nothing against our 88-year-olds at all, but I think I would probably and this is just where I am right now too. If you ask me in 10 years from now, I'll probably totally take the 88-year-olds.
That's
No
true.
problem.
That's true. I think it's it's where you might just feel most comfortable. I know people who would choose the other one, but I think it's interesting because some children, when they have the less trauma, like a baby is so drawing to people and can immediately open hearts because a baby looks at you with no judgment. It doesn't know how to judge. And so when we see that and we see someone looking at us without any judgment, we end up like, you think about all the silly faces we end up making towards babies because it will immediately just open your heart because it lacks the judgment. It's so guileless, so, but I would go with 8 years for today. I would go with 8 years.
And 8's such a lovely number. This is episode 6. 8 is 2 more away, but we're ending the episode on 8, which is the number of like infinity. Yeah. So, and both even. I like that. It's balance, symmetry, and balance. I love that. Structure, balance.
They're both even. Okay, now you're stretching.
Well, we have gone over. I apologize. I told you I was like no more than an hour. I don't know. These
That's okay. It was a good conversation. Always
I have too much fun. I have too much fun. These conversations matter. These lessons matter because all of our lessons become our legacies, right? And there is a blessing in every lesson. I know you agree because you've taught me that. You have been one that has taught me that. Find, like with your Christmas story, somebody needed that more than you. Find the blessing in every lesson,
There is, and if you don't know the gift, then wait, because there is a gift.
And for anybody that's interested in coming on the show, by the way, you don't have to have been a contributor of the book. You can just be you. Our chapters are around love, faith, laughter, resilience, and success. So if you have a story, a song, a piece of art, a book, an experience, anything like that, that maybe you have gone through that can speak to any of those topics that you would want to share with the world and make the world a better place, all you have to do is reach out to me at lessonsandlegacies@gmail.com or find me on Facebook, Melissa Price. And yeah, I would love to have you. And I am totally an open book. This is an open platform. I don't care where you are, who you are, what it is you have to bring to the table. As long as it's in those 5 lessons, that's what knits us together. I encourage you, please come share your story. Your lessons become your legacies. That's what you leave behind for the world to grow off of and become better. So why not share it with the world? Is what I'm saying.
Thank you for allowing me to share with you today.
Yes, and again, for Dawn, please visit dawnpetalino.com. She's one of the best transformational coaches. She is the only transformational coach I've ever met. She's fantastic. I will say, as I wrap this out, again, I'm an open book. I have had probably about just shy of 20 counselors in my life and therapists. I started therapy when I was 12 years old. Off and on, crazy, y'all know I've had like crazy upbringings and all this stuff. But I have, as an adult, put myself into therapy from time to time, just when life became too much. And I'm like, oh, I need somebody to talk to.
Right.
Dawn blew him out of the water. All of them. She has grace. She has mercy. She has teaching. She's got breathing techniques, tools, the crystals, the energy work. She's got it all. She's got the books and all of it. And aside from that, she is a child of God. She is a light in this world. She is my personal earth angel. And I couldn't be more grateful for you. So please visit dawnpetalino.com for any of those mentioned. And thank you for joining us for resilience. I hope that it's brought you some bounce back in your day. Do you want to leave anybody with any final words?
I would just say you can't go wrong with kindness. When in doubt, where can you be kind to yourself? You can't go wrong with kindness. That'll always lead you on a higher frequency path.
That's right. Kill them with kindness and love grows everything. That's what I say. And don't forget to find your bounce back, okay? Today was all about lessons in resilience. So find your bounce back, whether it's breathing, whether it's a book, whether it's a friend, a song, or a timeout in the bathroom or the closet or in nature. I've done all of those. Find your bounce back. You're worth it. You're strong. You matter. And yeah, thank you again for joining us on Lessons and Legacies. And we will catch you again tomorrow at 2. And thank you, Dawn, my sister, my
Thank
soul
you, Miss
sister.
Mel. Thank you,
Thank
sister.
you. Thank you for all the lessons and resilience that you bestowed upon me.
Oh, and you, me. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 2. Have a blessed evening and find your bounce back. Get your resilience on.